Corps of Engineer parks do have an ordinance, they have a concealed carry. They do Title 36, which is it controls guns in their parks and concealed carry. So I called the officer back and I told him, yes, that half of the parks that we manage do have a concealed carry regulation, and half of them don't. And he said, you really need to look at getting all of your parks on the same page, whether they don't have them or do. You need them all on the same page. And I said, okay. So I took it to my Parks Commission and said, we've got half of our parks have an ordinance, half don't. And we need to look at, making all our parks the same probably. And they voted to try to come up with an ordinance, have the city attorney come up with one that matched where all 18 of our parks would be on the same page. Since half of them already had an ordinance through the Corps, already had it's Title 36, which I know it's not an ordinance, but it's a requirement in gun regulations. Since they did have it, go ahead and put them all on the same, all the parks the same. And I took it to the city attorney who prepared the ordinance. I read it to the Parks Commission. The next month, the Parks Commission voted for me to take that to the city council, from the Parks Commission, which I did that. I took it to the city council, and then they went through it and voted on it, and I think it was got to the third reading. And the reason that the ordinance was pulled was because there are two, a House bill and a Senate bill that are looking at rescinding the Corps' requirements. And what it is it's actually H.R. 1865, S. 1588. And those are bills, right now they're in committee. They've been sent to committee. And I know today's article in the paper said it had passed the House and was going to Senate. That's incorrect. They're in committee right now. But what that is a Recreational Lands Self-Defense Act of 2011, which would prohibit the Corps of Engineers from borrowing weapons otherwise authorized under state law. So, the reason we looked at pulling the ordinance was we were needing an ordinance, not based on one guy wanting to carry a gun, which I've heard that. That's not what it was based on. It was based on the fact that we were trying to bring all of our parks in line together. We wanted something where all of our parks matched. We felt like if they're going to rescind the Corps of Engineers, they're going to rescind Title 36 to where they can't borrow weapons from parks. We would wait and see, because if it's rescinded, then all of our parks would not have an ordinance. And that doesn't mean, even if it's rescinded, it doesn't mean it won't be readdressed someday in the future. It just means right now we're waiting to see what happens. We have 18 parks. 8 of them we lease from the Corps of Engineers. That's a federal guideline, and the city, we or me or anybody, we can't supersede, or we have no control over a federal requirement. And the council can't pass an ordinance to override any kind of a federal guideline. So if the Corps of Engineers guidelines, if they drop their guidelines, then those 8 parks would no longer fall under those guidelines. The commission had 2 opportunities to vote no and say they didn't want to do it. The council has all their opportunities. That's the checks and balances. See, I don't have authority to do any of that. That's the checks and balances to the system.